3, 4, 5.
Welcome into the Marvel Stuff Podcast, where, like we do every single week, we discuss the Michigan run game versus TCU and what happened. I'm very disappointed by it.
Targeting on that one play, but there's a lot of plays. I've heard that
There are a lot.
football doesn't come down to one play normally.
No. Yeah, we're not going to talk about football because I want to be happy. So we're going to talk about Marvel
Smart.
instead. We are the Marvel Stuff Podcast. I am Coach, and with me as always.
Hey, Josh Kennedy from Facebook, right?
Hey, Josh Kennedy from Facebook. I love that.
That's still a thing.
That's still
Facebook's
a thing.
still a thing.
Yeah, I love it. Twitter, maybe not so much anymore. It's not its last legs, but
Well, that's all right.
we're
I
still
don't use it
doing
anyway.
That's true. I used it a little bit after the weird the Bills player almost died on the field. I was trying to
Yeah.
get some updates.
Shout out Hamlin. Hopefully you recover there. Well, that's more football nonsense, though. These nerds don't care, including us.
Well, you should care about people dying, but
But it was on a football field, though.
Oh, well, yeah, in that case, I guess we don't really care when someone dies, like in Australia, right?
Right.
I don't care. It's like Australia. Like, what did that matter?
Kangaroos get hit like deer. They're like roadkill, but here they're just like an exotic species. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that would be cool to see.
Probably not the
let's
best
talk.
comp.
Let's talk some Marvel stuff. This episode's sort of Marvel stuff versus movie star or movie star. It's however you want to describe it.
Exactly. We didn't have a definitive way of defining it, but that's okay because it's going to be a discussion incorporating all.
So the idea came about from listening to a different podcast, and it seems to be the consensus now that there aren't very many movie stars left because the superhero star thing is people have this idea that you're only as big as the character you're playing.
Right.
Chris Hemsworth's not famous; he just happens to be playing Thor.
But he is one that's actually making his way to being more and more famous. Like he did The Extraction, which is one of Netflix's top viewed movies of all time. And Netflix has been around for a while.
Right, so that's the crux of the conversation.
I mean, it does still feel like he's playing Thor, but not Thor. That is accurate.
But that's the crux of the conversation is we're going to list off some actors, we're going to talk about them. We're going to say, are they already movie stars? Can they become movie stars? Has their fame hit its peak? Does it have places to go? So we'll both just sort of list off some actors, and we'll sort of see where the conversation goes in this.
I also want to try and bring up some of the young guns and discuss if we think they got the chops to make it big time. Or if they already are. I mean, in some cases, that's also true.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to
break them down.
We're going to break down different ones. And do you want me to go first? You want me to list one off?
Yep, go for it. We'll discuss each of them in varying lengths.
I think the most obvious one is someone who's no longer technically with Marvel, although the rumors seem to be conferring that he's going to be at least making cameos in future films. And that's Robert Downey Jr.
Jessica Alba. Oh,
I love Jessica. She did. She played a great role in existing.
Fantastic Four. Anyway, Robert Downey Jr. Yes, pretty prime example of just like how do we define him? Because he is kind of an enigma in a way, because he was a big movie star. Then he had some problems and lost, fell from grace. And then he was cast in this role. And then he became like 4 times more famous than he ever was before. And now he's done. And he's still famous for playing Iron Man, but he doesn't necessarily have a huge box office draw. I can't say for perfect examples, but when he did Dolittle, people were very stunned with the underwhelming performance that movie had. There's a lot of things that could have contributed to that. Mm-hmm. It being somewhat of a remake, but not really, of the Dr. Dolittle thing, which was very popular in the 90s. And then also it's a kid's movie, so there's a lot of things in there.
I blame that movie more so than I blame RDJ's. I think RDJ is sort of the easiest one to answer, because I think the answer is yes. He's a movie star.
Yeah.
He was a movie star before Marvel. He's a movie star post Marvel. There is an argument to be said that he was going through issues, and coming to Marvel helped revitalize it. Yes. But Sherlock Holmes, he made 2 of them. They both made a ton of money.
Rumors that he and his production company are going to be maybe bringing that back in some way, fashion. I don't know if it's a show or a movie, but that's cool. He also has his production company with his wife, and they did Sweet Tooth, which is kind of funny because that's a DC property, so they kind of switched teams a little bit. But he's still got as much pull as anybody. He's prime movie star. He played Charlie Chaplin in that movie, and that movie's fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, it was really cool. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but I watched it last year.
I think it's just called Chaplin.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just Chaplin.
Yeah, and he's the big movies. We said Sherlock Holmes, big movie, Due Date.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Oh yeah, Due Date. That was post Marvel, post starting in Marvel, and then he was with Galvanic. Yeah.
But so it's still big money.
Exactly.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a weird one. It's sort of got a cult following to it.
That's Shane Black, I think. Yeah, I think he's the director. But I think we're kind of done with Robert Downey Jr. The next one that I find interesting, we might as well keep it with the top guys. Chris Evans. He was famous beforehand. He's still leading movies after. He's done movies like Snowpiercer. He just did The Gray Man. He was the Human Torch prior to being Captain America. He was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Scott Pilgrim's like a cult hit, but it's huge because it has a following. I don't know. He's a tougher call than Robert Downey, but I would venture to say he's movie star status, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Knives Out.
Knives Out.
He's sort of the main name you would recognize outside of Benoit himself. So that's sort of interesting. A lot of it has come post Marvel, but it still feels big enough.
Yeah.
It feels like he's...
That's the interesting thing
star,
is
but
what are we comparing it to? Their success at Marvel? Because Marvel itself is otherworldly successful, so it's not like any movie. So
compare him to other Chris's. Let's compare him to the other Chris's.
Okay, sure. Yep. He's more famous.
Is he more famous than all the other Chris's?
Yeah, Chris Pratt is starting to give him a run for his money, but I don't think he's quite there yet. He's got the Jurassic franchise. He's now playing the voice of Mario.
I would say Chris Pratt has had more big movies that he's been the main.
I would call him a movie star for sure, but I don't think he's as famous as Chris Evans. But
I guess that's an interesting one because they're both Marvel ones, which is funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think Chris Pine is famous. He's done a lot of good movies.
So. He's not a Marvel star, but he's not as famous as those guys. So it's an interesting debate for that one. Chris Hemsworth, we kind of touched on it a little bit. He's pretty close to the border, I would say. He's big because he was Thor. Marvel. You would categorize him as Marvel?
As Marvel famous, not movie famous.
But his well, that's the thing, is Marvel was his breakout role. He was in Australia doing a bunch of romance movies, whatever the hell that was, and then he got cast as Thor, and then boom, here he is. Now he's famous because he's Thor, and he does have other movies he starred in.
But you're right. You're right. Like people would really recognize. Like I know he was in Rush, and he was sort of like one of the characters in Men in Black, but no one really cared. I remember Huntsman is a weird one that he was in. That's like,
that was the spinoff of the Snow White movie. Yeah, I didn't watch the spinoff.
I don't know. I just feel like
he can be classified as a Marvel star. We'll give that one. Interesting one. We'll pivot a little bit. Brie Larson has won an Oscar prior to being Captain Marvel.
So Brie Larson, I think the answer is simple. I think she's Captain Marvel because she was becoming famous.
Right. Yep.
Not everyone likes her, right? I don't think everyone likes Kong Skull Island. But Kong Skull was a big movie, and she was in it. I mean, 21 Jump Street, I think she's the best part of that movie, to be honest.
She's like third lead in that, but yeah, it was very good in that. Yeah, she's great.
She was becoming famous. Like you said, she
was in Community. She was Abed's girlfriend for a couple episodes. That was fun.
So she's an interesting one. But here's the thing: since becoming Captain Marvel, obviously it made her a little more famous.
But that's the thing, is she wasn't a popular Marvel character, and she still isn't. I think she's still got plenty of films to make up for that. But movie star in my opinion. I think.
That's the thing. I think she was becoming one, and then she got Captain Marvel, and you would think that would mean, yes, she's become more of one. Now I think she's barely a Marvel star or a movie star.
Well, she doesn't. I don't see her in a lot of other projects. I mean, she's in a couple of things, but not. I don't know. I mean,
That's kind
it's
of the
kind of
point,
hard
right?
based on the time that we're in when like there was the whole COVID delay and things. Like she might have three movies in the bag that just didn't release because of theater stuff. I have no idea, but she's an interesting one for sure.
It feels like right now the answer is she is neither a Marvel star or a movie star.
For now,
She is in a
but the
Marvel movie.
Marvels is coming this year. Woohoo! I think she'll turn it around there.
Um, Another one that I think is interesting that who didn't have the same path but has a chance now. Let's talk about Letitia Wright as Shuri. People love
Yeah.
her as Shuri. She seems to
Mm-hmm.
be. It's a big name. Obviously, she's not a movie star yet. She has not. She's done nothing outside of Marvel. That's a
No,
big deal.
but she's now that's now the highest grossing female led superhero movie. Fun stat.
So, do you think she can? Do you think she can do it? Do you think if they put a movie out right now that
That
was like
that's
Letitia
why it's
Wright?
in tough call because she's really good at playing that character, but can she play other characters? I don't know. I haven't seen her in anything else. But there's certain actors and actresses. I mean, I think they're all technically called actors, but she's like Amani, the girl that plays Ms. Marvel. Like
Mm-hmm.
she showed some chops in that show that I think she's got a huge trajectory upward for the rest of her career. Regardless, like she's one I was going to bring up later that she's going to become a movie star. Just isn't there yet because
Maybe.
she's
Well,
young
maybe
and
she'll
this is
just get her
super.
own TV show and it'll be fun. I don't know that.
Yeah, I mean she could
It's,
be.
I mean,
That's definitely true. There's some very famous people who led franchise TV shows. There's a lot of stuff that could happen there.
yeah, I think Letitia Wright. There's. I would watch. I think that would be my answer. My answer would be if they made a movie and they were like, "Hey, this is about a famous soccer player or whatever it is. I don't care what it is." And she was the lead. I would be like, "Yeah, I'll go watch it." I feel like I probably would, unless I just heard it was awful.
Yeah, that's tough. It for some reason it's harder to get me to go to the movies nowadays. But if it showed up on like a streaming service, you know that
That's true. That
increases the likelihood quite a bit as well. But then it's like you're a streaming star, not a movie star.
well, maybe
that's
that's
a
really the three
it's a whole
categories, right?
third
It's like
category. Yeah,
I'll definitely watch it if you're in Marvel. I'll
exactly.
definitely watch it if you're
On
on a Netflix
Netflix,
show.
but the
Not
chances of
definitely.
me going to the theater, no, it's not going to happen. If
Yeah, you'd have to. There's very few people that
there's very few people that get me to do that though, so it's not really a fair comparison.
but I think Robert Downey Jr. sort of does. I watched most of his movies.
I mean, outside of the
Given the
MCU,
chance.
like I mean, I guess he is in the MCU. Jake Gyllenhaal, I'll go see anything with him in it. Hugh Jackman, not MCU currently, but I'll go see anything with Hugh Jackman. So there's a few guys that like can get me to go to the theaters without me them having to be a superhero in it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good mark of like really being a movie star. Which Chris Pratt, like we talked about Chris Pratt, right? He was. I think there was a time where he was a big time movie star.
He's still going.
I don't know that he is. You think so? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
we'll see.
mean, they're I
He
think they're
is the
done with
voice
the
of
Jurassic
Mario, I
Park
guess.
movies, but yeah, the voice of Mario, and he's just gonna keep going up. I mean, he'll get another franchise one of these days. I don't know what it's gonna be, but him starring opposite Jennifer Lawrence in that space movie. I mean, he's had a lot of blockbusters.
Yeah, I feel like that was peak him. Yeah, Letitia Wright I think is an interesting one. The other one that it made me think of, this is actually what made me think of the whole discussion, is they were talking about young movie stars and how we don't have any.
No,
And
I
the
disagree,
reason,
but continue.
who do you think's a movie star that's like under 30, probably 32 or so? Whatever,
Tom Holland and Zendaya, just off the top.
But are they? I mean,
Yes.
do we know? We've never. Tom Holland's been in what, one other thing? Uncharted.
Yeah, one other big thing. I guess that's true.
I mean, it was with Mark Wahlberg. So I mean, was that? I think he's probably half the reason it was like relatively successful. But even that didn't
Maybe.
like become bonkers.
That's true. He's super young, so I guess it's a little harder. But Zendaya, I won't leave that. she's super famous. I mean, she's famous. Euphoria, which is a TV show,
Euphoria.
I get, but she's also in Dune, which
No,
was
you're right.
huge blockbuster.
Victoria and Dune. Are big things.
Timothy Chalamet, not in MCU, but definitely a young movie star. So there's a couple.
I don't know that people would go to things because Timothy Chalamet is in them.
And they've
Anyway.
done it a couple times. He doesn't matter because he's not an MCU yet. Although they want him as Harry Osborn, or at least I heard that rumor, and I'd be pretty excited about it.
That's funny. I wouldn't watch it. Anyway, what it made me think of, while we're sort of just in this discussion of Black Panther, was Chadwick Boseman was like legitimately a really big movie star.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Before Black Panther, during Black Panther,
was
like
it 21 Bridges and the Jackie Robinson movie?
yep,
Both
and
of
then
those, or was it 11 Bridges and 21 was the name of Jackie? Whatever.
yes, 11 versus
They
20.
both have
Yep,
numbers.
and 21 is the name of the Jackie Robinson
Jackie
movie.
Robinson movie. Yeah.
And yeah, and then he's Ray Charles. He was
Yep.
legitimately a
He's
big
big,
movie
big.
star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of like, I mean, there's not that many like big time movie stars that existed at any given time.
There's
So
a
when one
couple
dies
of
young,
there's a couple of guys that kind of break the mold on this whole thing. That they were famous before Marvel, they're famous after Marvel. There's Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, Jake Gyllenhaal, just a bunch of like guys. Michael Keaton, prime example. There's just a
yes,
bunch of people in the MCU that got added because they thought it'd be cool to put them in the
put
MCU.
someone who's famous in
And
there.
they're exactly. So they're definitely movie stars, and then Marvel secondary. Samuel L. Jackson, another big one, where he's clearly a movie star.
Yes, I think yes, he's clearly was a movie star long before, and he's yeah, exactly. He definitely can carry movies.
And he does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does all the time. That's it. Those are interesting categories. But there's like you said, there's the funny ones like Colby Smulders. I think is a funny little example to think about.
She's
like,
a Marvel star. Yeah, she's. I mean,
is she more famous for How I Met Your Mother or Marvel? Like, what do you really think?
I mean, she's more famous from How I Met Your Mother, but TV star wasn't one of the options. So.
I know. I was just curious, like, if what you thought.
I think. So? I mean, I think so. I think if you ask again in 5 years, then they're going to say Marvel because How I Met Your Mother is just going to keep getting older. But because you and I have been around watching a bunch of How I Met Your Mother, that's clearly what we think of all the time.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Mark Ruffalo, I think, is an interesting one because he's known for being. I mean, he was known, but was he famous? What was he ever in that like he was the star of a movie? I think he's known for being.
I don't know about star.
Actor.
He's good at being a second fiddle or third fiddle. Like the first thing I thought of, which is funny, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and his part's pretty small in that movie, but that's the first thing I thought of when I was like, "What non-MCU thing?"
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, which the weird
name drop it.
Yeah, I can't think of the stupid name of the movie right now. It's the one with the Catholic priests. It's on my top 10 list. I love it.
I don't know that one.
Escapes me something. Spotlight.
The journalist movie. Okay, yeah. Continue.
He's great in Spotlight. I love him in Spotlight, but he's not the lead of it. He's not famous. Michael Keaton's the lead of that movie, and he's the kind of.
He's super famous. Yeah.
So it's interesting that someone like him, who is a great movie actor, who people know is a great movie actor, he's probably still more famous for being the Hulk.
Yeah, you're probably right. I got a fun one. Oscar Isaac.
That's a fascinating one.
I know, because he did lead movies prior to being Moon Knight, and Moon Knight's pretty new, and he's leading stuff following Moon Knight.
I mean, he's definitely more known for Star Wars than he is for anything in Marvel. He is more known for being in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But, like, it's also pretty well known.
Apocalypse as well. He was the main antagonist. Right. I mean, that movie wasn't great, but he was okay. He looked like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers.
He definitely is. He's a good answer for, like, who's a young, up-and-coming actor who's got a shot at, like, really
He's not that young, dude. He's, like, 40.
I know, but his still feels, I mean, that's relatively young.
His stardom, yeah.
58. It's interesting. He's an interesting answer, because I think he'll end up being a bigger movie star than he ever will be in Marvel.
But right now, I mean, what would you define it as? I mean, you can't say Star Wars star.
I think I would. I think that's the answer. I would put he is a Star Wars star first. Probably other than Marvel, then movies maybe. No, probably movies then Marvel. Probably Star Wars.
Another one where
being an actor.
He's another one in Dune. No, he was in. I think Dune came out before Moon Knight, if I remember right. Yeah. There's lots of people in the MCU, so there's a lot of fun discussions to have. Paul Rudd, obviously, movie star, without question.
Paul Rudd absolutely is one who is an absolute movie star. He is way more well known for.
Your wife brought one up on the Facebook group, Scarlett Johansson. That one's a fun one to talk about because she's been famous for a ridiculous amount of time. She was like on Barney when she was a kid.
She is a legitimate movie star.
She is a legitimate movie star.
Who happened to be in Marvel.
What was her biggest thing pre-Marvel, though? Do you even remember?
Let me go look. I'll pull her name up and find out. But I think, like, pre-Marvel or whatever, but even while she was Marvel, even while she was Black Widow, I
She was doing
mean,
other stuff too. Yeah,
she was
I'm not
doing
trying to
movies that
take
were
anything away from her. I'm just like hers is almost a concurrent rise, or
yes,
she
I
was
think
becoming both a Marvel star and a movie star at equal pace. Uh, Fun one, I got one. Zoe Saldana. She was in the biggest grossing movie of all time, but she wasn't known for being in that because she's a big blue alien cat thing.
yep,
And now she is Gamora.
yep. But she's still in it. She's still in Avatar, and it's
Yeah,
the
I'm
next
not
one's
saying she's
making
not.
billions a movie.
What is she though? She was just in
Yep,
that Ryan Reynolds movie, whatever that was, Adam Project on Netflix. That was fun.
I think Zoe Saldana is a well liked actor. I do not think she's a movie star. I think she plays great parts in great movies, but I
So
don't
you
think
would have to
there's
call her a Marvel star then, right?
yeah in some ways. But
Yeah.
even in the world of Marvel, I don't think she's like a star of Guardians. I think Chris Pratt and and Drax have sort of become more famous
Dave
from
Batista.
than
I
Guardians.
love
Yeah,
that
yes.
one. We can bring that one up right now. Dave Batista, he is great because he's like he breaks the scale a little bit because he was like uber famous as a WWE wrestler. Then he got cast in Marvel, and then he's also done other things like he did C, and then he Stubber or whatever he did with Kumail.
Yeah, and he just did the
He
new Knives Out.
he just did the new Knives Out. He was also in Dune. I mean, everybody and their mother was in Dune, so it's hard to keep bringing it up, but it made a lot of money.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. I think
And he's
he's.
becoming more and more dramatic with his roles and stuff. Like people are putting respect on his name finally.
I would love to
And
see him be a star in a movie. I would love to see what would
I
happen.
think he's going on his way to being an enormous movie star. He's already famous and a pretty big star, but I think he's gonna hit a next level here soon.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one.
Ooh, I
Um,
got a fun one. Kit Harington,
that's a fascinating. So he's. I
because
mean,
he's not a movie
again.
star at all.
He's. I think he's barely in Marvel
He's
enough to qualify right
seventh
now.
fiddle
Once
and
he. Once he like gets a couple
gets to
Marvel
play Black
shows.
Knight. Okay, fair enough. I just
Until then, it's hard. He doesn't even get to count.
Now,
He's
are
just.
we talking just MCU this whole time? Because there's other people in other Marvel movies that are, there's interesting conversations to have about the Fox Marvel universe if you want to incorporate that. But we already have a lot of MCU characters to talk about, so we can keep it condensed.
We'll keep it condensed for now, just because there's a couple that I think are still. I mean, we've. I'm curious to think if we can figure out who was the most famous Marvel person while they were doing Marvel. Right? I think it would be easy to say Michael Keaton, but he wasn't at his apex when he came into the MCU. So whose apex was the highest while they were in Marvel and while they were
I mean, Robert
doing movie
Downey.
stars? Do you think he was
His
him
scene in
during
Endgame is the peak of cinema.
the peak of cinema?
He's the peak of his career. Is he really going to surpass that? Probably
Well, I
not.
guess my question would be like think about Sherlock Holmes versus
Very big.
let's see, ScarJo. I mean, Lucy is a big movie. Probably not. Definitely not as big as.
How do you feel?
Definitely not as big as Sherlock.
I got another one. I would call this guy a movie star, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, because he got like really big from Sherlock. He's done a lot of other TV shows, but he's also done big movies like The Imitation Game and
Yep.
a couple other ones that weren't Doctor Strange. So that's a cool one. I would call him a bona fide movie star.
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, that's interesting. Was his role in Imitation Game, was he as big? Was the Benedict
Didn't he just get a nod
Assance?
last year for that cowboy movie that I didn't watch?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
mean, there's
yes,
another
yes.
thing that he did. Yeah,
Well, we know he's an incredible actor. He might be the one of the better actors.
I think he's one of the best actors of like a
Um,
generation. But yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
he got really big with Doctor Strange, obviously, and I think that brought a whole new fan base to him that
I
he
would
didn't
say,
necessarily
yeah,
hit before.
I would still say RDJ Sherlock Holmes is the biggest that I can think of, like movie star moment going on. You're
While they
carrying
were in
whole
the
franchise, a
MCU.
very successful franchise, and you're carrying it other than maybe Chris Pratt, Jurassic World. Actually, you know what? That would be my answer. I would say
Well, yeah,
peak
Chris Pratt, Jurassic
movie
World was
star.
huge. Yeah, fair enough.
He was so big. Jurassic World, like you said, that movie with Jennifer Lawrence.
Well, I was just gonna bring her up, which is cheating a little bit because she's Fox Marvel, but she wasn't famous. Got cast as Mystique. I mean, she was like relatively famous,
Well,
but then
no,
she hit
Hunger Games.
she hit Hunger Games after the first X-Men movie, if I remember
No
correctly.
way. There's no way that's true.
I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm pretty sure that's true.
That would blow my mind.
First Class was 2009, and I think Hunger Games was the same year or year before.
This would actually blow my mind.
I know I think she got cast in both roles at like almost the same time, and like it was harder and harder for them to get her to come back as Mystique because she was doing the Hunger Games franchise.
You're right, same year. That's
boom. What up?
Mind blowing. Because then, yeah, American Hustle's 2013. She's got a couple more X-Men movies. Silver Linings Playbook.
Silver Linings Playbook's a big one. Passenger, I believe, is the one with Chris Pratt.
I mean, she was probably bigger than Chris Pratt ever was, don't you think? Just like herself. I mean, yes. Jurassic World's a bigger movie, but it's also partly the IP.
But it's cheating a little bit because she's not MCU.
I mean, it's a little bit, but it's still an interesting.
Here's not even a fun one because it's clearly we all know the end. But Patrick Stewart,
yeah,
he was in the MCU already super famous for being on Star Trek. I mean, he's clearly a multifaceted actor. So
it's fascinating how short some of these like look at Jennifer Lawrence. Her like peak stardom was pretty short, like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, it's when she was like jumping every other year between two iconic movie franchises, and then she got a couple of like Oscar baity movies which were also great. So she's still like doing solid work, and I think she's got like one coming up. I'm sure she's gonna have a big part in a movie. It's gonna blow everyone's mind, and then she's gonna get herself to the front of the line again. But as of right now, I mean, there's people that would be considered bigger stars than her right now. Margot Robbie is an example, but she's not MCU.
Is there anybody like in a reoccurring role in the MCU right now who is a bigger movie star than they are a Marvel star? Like right now,
Samuel Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's a recurring.
Such a minor role, but he is getting his own show, so I will count it. Yeah, I don't. That might be the only answer. Like, who's someone's like bigger than their Marvel character?
I mean, Michael Keaton. There's a couple people we've already talked about.
Yeah, but he was like already famous. He's not currently like a big deal. It's not like he currently has any movies going. He hasn't had any.
I mean, he reprised his role as Batman if we ever get to see that movie.
In the Flash. That would be fire.
I know it will.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I can't think of any.
New one we haven't even seen yet. Tom Hanks. He's clearly a movie star, and they just got him for a fun Marvel cameo.
Yeah, I love when they do that. Those are always fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Haley Steinfeld, I think, was becoming a big deal long before.
She was big, but she was getting big before she took the Hawkeye show, and now she's still big. What was it? Bumblebee was probably her big thing. She was also a recording artist, so she's like a triple threat or whatever. She does a lot, so she's not just singularly.
It feels like Hawkeye like barely even affected her fame at all. Like it didn't.
It really,
it moved the needle barely at all.
Almost none. Yeah, because she was already famous with the people that were watching Hawkeye. So, Jeremy Renner, that's a fun one. Hopefully, best of luck to him in his recovery with the snowplow accident. Timely.
Yeah, first off, yes, we hope that he is.
We really hope he's better, but like he's doing all right. I'd call him a Marvel star, even though he has other things going for him, but. He did The Town with Ben Affleck. I mean, that was pretty big, but he's, second fiddle on that.
He's in a couple of the Mission Impossibles, and those
he did the Bourne movie no one liked.
He did the Bourne movie Legacy. No one liked.
He's in Legacy. Yeah.
But I think he got that because of his role in Marvel.
Was Legacy after Thor? I thought it might be reversed. Why don't you look and see if that's true? I feel like it was around the same time. Yep, and Thor was 11, right? Or was he? Yeah. So right about the same time. I don't think that he got that Bourne role because of his minor part in Thor.
That's a good point. Yeah, because then Avengers came out 2012 as well. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's interesting. He's been in a few things. I think he's known for being around, but
I think he's Marvel star. Like he clearly a talented actor, but he's almost like the poster child for being a Marvel star.
yep, I think it's a good way to put him. Like you would watch it because you recognize him from Marvel, but
That's
like
the main reason I'm gonna eventually watch Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus. Still haven't, but he let a show on there.
I just haven't watched that one yet because there's already like the Mayor of Easttown, which is
There's
got a
Mayor of
phenomenal show.
Easttown and Mayor of Kingston.
I know, so it just bugs me. Out of principle, I'm not gonna watch the Mayor of Kingstown just because you should have timed it up better to not release the same year.
You're silly.
Driving
Anyway,
now,
who else do we got?
I'm trying to think if there's
We
anyone
hit
big
the
enough.
main guys in the Avengers.
Like movie stars hard
James
to hit.
Spader.
Yeah, again, but I mean, how many people really even know that he's in Marvel?
That's true.
Like, if
That's
you
true.
know
Also,
James Spader,
he's not even that much of a movie star. He's, I mean, a little
people
bit.
like him. People like him.
Yeah, he's great. He's
Again,
wonderful.
you're
Yeah,
not-
he's great in Blacklist, which is a TV show. So
No, I think there's not. Yeah, I think the answer is there's not a lot when we really think about it.
Ooh,
There's only a few.
another one that I think is going to turn into a movie star that is currently a Marvel star, and that's Elizabeth Olsen.
Again, yep, that's a good one. But again,
She is currently a Marvel star, but I mean, now that she played that Marvel role, and you can see how good of an actor she is, she's just gonna become a big time movie star. So I like that one. Paul Bettany, Marvel star.
Marvel star, yeah. I mean, great actor. Probably actually known more for his acting than he is. For
But
his
we
role in
don't
the MCU.
we don't know him for his other roles because I can't even name one other thing he's in.
He's never been a
And
star.
I watch a lot.
So, I think that's interesting. Here's one that I think is interesting.
Oh,
Because I think he came close, but I don't think he ever got there. And that was Tom Hiddleston.
I was literally just gonna say Tom Hiddleston.
He
Swear to
got
God.
super famous.
Yes.
He got Kong Skull Island. He got to like be
What was
one
the
of the
my
big
God,
names on there.
Scarlet. Oh my God, I'm gonna. It's gonna drive me nuts that I don't know the name of that movie, but he did a time period piece where he was kind of dating his sister and his wives kept mysteriously going missing and he'd steal all their money. It had the chick from Alice in Wonderland in it.
I don't know.
It's fine, but
I
don't.
Is it Crimson Peak with Del
Crimson
Toro?
Peak, yes,
I remember that movie.
yes. That's what I'm talking about. When was that though? That was
2015.
after. Okay, so it was 3 years after. He probably got that because of his Marvel role.
I think there was like a moment where we thought Tom Hiddleston was going to become a movie star, and he kind of never really did.
I mean,
That
he's
just shows-
still young, and I don't see any reason why he won't turn it into that. But he also seems pretty interested in just rolling out low-key seasons and causing havoc in the MCU. I mean, it's a pretty kosher job, I would say. So I can't even blame the guy, you know.
But I think that's sort of the answer we're coming to is that there aren't a lot of movie stars. I think when people say that, it's kind of true.
I got
There's
one.
Not a lot of
we should
people
talk
that become
about
both.
maybe Michael B. Jordan.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good one. I think
because he wasn't ultra famous. Was Creed?
Creed
The
was
first
before.
one was before Black Panther, right?
Right, which was a huge movie.
Yep. And then he has the next couple of Creed movies. He also had an Amazon movie that a lot of people liked. He was he was Human Torch for that terrible movie before. I like Michael B. Jordan. He's great.
I think I love Michael B. Jordan. He's an interesting one. So he's got a single franchise that's a very successful franchise.
Yes.
And he's well known for Fruitvale Station. But I kind
Yes.
of really
Oh man, that movie. Oh, I forgot about that movie. It's so good.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't think about that
really
one.
Watch it.
Not that many, but it's a good movie. I'd recommend it.
I think there's like a, and then he
did another one with Brie Larson. It was a prison movie.
Yeah.
Shoot, it's like a religious name for the name of the movie. And it doesn't matter. Can't think of it off the top, so I'll go for it.
He had the Fantastic Four, and so, right, that was him, right? Fan Four Stick?
Yeah. He Fan Four Stick. He was terrible in it. I brought that up.
Chronicle's a bit.
Chronicle, I think, is where he got noticed, but it wasn't a huge movie, which is interesting. Just Mercy is the name of the thing I was thinking of, the religious one.
I would say because of Creed, he's definitely.
He's a movie star.
First off, he's more of a movie star because of Creed than than he is
Yes,
renowned
I would
for
definitely
singing
qualify
and
him
stuff.
as a movie star more than a Marvel star, but he's fantastic in the Marvel movies,
He
and
is
I
fantastic.
think that did nothing but he might be a good candidate for the peak running because he's technically still in the MCU. I mean, spoiler, but
I know, but I
he did
think
his cameo in Wakanda Forever, and he's still in his prime.
if you think about how peak Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence were, Michael B. Jordan was never that famous. He's never been that like we're gonna put him on any
I think
movie
you're
we want.
underestimating how big Creed is, though. I think because he's done three of them, he's directing the third one. Like they're
But
pretty big.
Creed is ultimately an IP of an already famous movie. Like Rocky
Yeah,
is
that's
is
true.
already the greatest movies.
I'll
Like
give you that, but then you got to go the same rules for Chris Pratt, though.
well, I agree that,
Yeah,
but I think
Jurassic Park was huge before.
he has he's got his own giant TV show. He's been in. I mean, not
Okay,
that they were
let's hit
giantly
the obvious ones
successful
that we're
movies.
missing. Who were we missing?
Oh, Chris
That
Pratt was the lead of Lego Movie, and he
oh
did
yeah, that's right.
Magnificent Seven. Oh my God, he was in so many movies. It was easily Chris Pratt. He is a huge movie star. He's in
Yeah.
Moneyball. He's in a lot of movies. He's awesome. I love
Who?
Chris Pratt.
What Marvel stars are we not like bringing up when we should? There's obvious one like Sebastian Stan, Marvel star. I mean, he just
Yep.
did Pam and Tommy, but I mean, he's not a box office draw. Anthony Mackie, same type of
Yeah.
deal. He's done a few things. He
They
did.
put him in the Netflix movie. I
Yeah, he
like
was
that
also
movie, by the way.
he was what did he do? Black Mirror, and then he did the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen Christmas movie that I can't think of the name of at this exact moment, but he was like the third lead in that, and that movie was fantastic. But Marvel star for now. Plus, he's gonna be the biggest. He's gonna be Captain America, so he's not going anywhere. I think he's gonna
Right.
stick in his Marvel star territory.
I don't think he'll ever. I don't know that I think he'll ever
Is it
really
cheating
bust
to
out.
say Vin Diesel because he's clearly a movie
Absolute
star?
cheating. Yeah, that's he's his
Okay.
own
Well, Bradley Cooper. I mean,
again
all
cheating.
that's
Again,
not cheating.
that's cheating.
He had his role is prominent
It
in the
is, but
MCU.
I mean he's barely a Marvel star because he's such a big movie star. He's so
All
much
right,
more
fair
a
enough.
movie
Yeah,
star
he's
than
definitely a
he
movie star. I know, but
even
you
is
can't,
remotely.
discount his Marvel contribution.
But I guess if you think about it this way, how many people who are like, oh, Bradley Cooper, isn't he great?
Hangover.
And you start listing his movies. How long until someone goes, oh, you remember he's Rocket? And
I mean, it'd take me like probably 5.
it would take me like 4 or 5. I think it would take
Yeah.
the average person on the street forever.
Yeah,
Even
you're probably
they would
right.
just
You're
forget
probably
because
right.
there's so many other big movies.
I'll give you that. Oh, fun one. Josh Brolin, movie star, but he's not a lead.
I was gonna say that's a fascinating one because Josh Brolin isn't a movie star. He's a good movie actor. People, man, it's just like splitting hairs.
But he's in some of the biggest movies. Exactly. You put him as the second in any movie ever, and he just makes the movie like incredible. Deadpool 2 was fantastic.
I mean, Deadpool 2, Sicario.
He
They
was in
tried him as the lead
Goonies.
in Jonah Hex, and it didn't really work.
Well, that's because the
Which is
movie was
interesting.
bad,
Yeah.
which sucks because it should have been good because that's a pretty fun IP. But
No Country for Old Men, True Grit. He's in a lot of good things.
I know that's what I'm saying. So I say he's a movie star, but he's not the star of the movie.
I know that's what makes it tough. But he's
not a box office draw. I don't think anyone's be like, "Oh, the new Josh Brolin movie. I got to go see that."
Yeah, it is interesting.
I think that if you're pitching it to your wife that you want to see a movie, Josh Brolin, he's like the fifth thing you say. He's like, "Oh, it's also got Josh Brolin in it." He's never like, "Oh, Josh Brolin's in this movie." That's the first thing that I think of.
That's a good point. Yeah, and then I think you're right. You already expanded it. The outside of the MCU versions, it's really. I mean, Ryan Reynolds was a huge movie star.
Yep.
Big deal.
And only got bigger. Hugh Jackman's a fun one because he's now a movie star, and because he's still playing Wolverine, he's the beginning, middle, and end of his career is all Wolverine.
Yes.
He was in Australia. Then he did Prisoners with Gyllenhaal. I really like that movie. The Greatest Showman. We're going outside of the MCU. Is there anyone else in the MCU that we didn't talk about yet that we probably should have brought up?
I mean, I think you could argue that anyone we don't bring up should have been mentioned at some point, but
Well,
You know, we
let's
were gonna
switch
mention
lanes
that.
just a little bit and talk on a couple of young ones that we haven't brought up yet. Do you think they have the potential of being a movie star, or do you think they're forever going to be a Marvel star?
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I like that.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, let's start with the Spider-Man guys because there's a handful of them, so might as well talk about them. Tom Holland, I think post Spider-Man he's going to be big. He might be big because he was Spider-Man, but you
Yeah,
think
I
he's going to be
agree.
a movie star. Zendaya, no question, she's going to be a movie star. She's just ultra talented. Everyone knows who she is. She's huge. But fun one is the kid that plays Ned, whose name is escaping me right now. But Jacob something, I forget his last name. But man, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Is he ever gonna become a movie star, or is he forever gonna be Spider-Man's friend?
Yeah, I mean, there's no
It's
reason to
tough.
think he'll be anything more than Spider-Man's friend. It could happen. All these things could
Yeah,
happen,
no,
but
yeah, for sure. And he's not a bad actor. It's just like he's just another character in those movies, and
yeah,
he's
I
fun.
think you're right to say Zendaya and Tom Holland are like already on that just that tier right below whatever you would think like Michael
Yep,
B.
we
Jordan
already talked
is.
about Haley Steinfeld. We called her a movie star, right? She's
She's on the cusp. I
she's
think
hard to place. She's hard to place because she's famous for other things too.
yeah, that's the hard part. But
Imani, we talked about her for briefly. Currently she's nothing but a Marvel star because that's pretty much all she's done. But I
yeah,
see potential there for sure.
I mean, I think she's a good actress, but I mean, we just have no idea. We have no idea.
Is there anyone else
But
young
I
that
think she'll
I'm
be a famous in Marvel for a while.
who? Nah, it doesn't matter.
I
She's
really do think the one person we talked about it right at the beginning. I think the one person who has a chance to become that like ultra famous person is Letitia Wright. I would not be stunned if 3 years from now she's like in a couple really big movies that are like no IP other than like it's a Letitia Wright movie. That would not stun me. But it's kind of
tough call.
the only one I wouldn't be surprised by.
Yeah, she's right there. She's yeah. I mean, because her role was so significant and dramatic in Wakanda Forever, I think people like it got people to turn their heads. Lupita, I'm not gonna try and say her
Yeah,
last name,
yeah.
but
So I was just gonna say
Nakia, yeah,
she would actually make a lot of sense. She might
I
even
think
have a
she's a
better
big.
chance. She's a
I
great
think she's got a
actress.
better chance than Letitia Wright. That's my opinion, but I think she's got a better shot at being bigger.
I'm gonna try to say it. Lupita Nyong'o, I think is how it's said.
Lupita, yeah, I know. I mean, the first name's Lupita,
Lupita,
but
yeah, Lupita Nyong'o. I think
yeah, it
she's
doesn't
awesome.
matter. Yeah, she's fantastic, and
I think you might
yeah,
be right to say that she's
I
actually
think
got the better
she's
chance.
the one that she's waiting in the wings. That she's just one roll away from being huge. Uh shoot. Oh man, now I feel like an idiot. He's a minor role in the MCU, but he's in the Jordan Peele movies now. Uh, why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna pull it up right now. I'm an idiot, but Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah,
Daniel
that's an
Kaluuya.
interesting one. I think it's a little too minor in the MCU,
But
and I
I
think
think he didn't come back to the MCU because he got famous. I think he's a movie star because he's associated with Jordan Peele for the rest of Jordan Peele's
that's what I'm
directing
saying.
career. So
I wonder if he'll ever become. Is he? I mean, somewhere someone's having a podcast about. Is
he's
he
a
Jordan
Jordan
Peele
Peele star.
famous or is
He's
he a movie star? So
he's Jordan Peele famous for now, but he's clearly a talented actor. Yep,
yeah,
I don't know. He was just a random one I thought of because I forgot for a second he was in the MCU, and then I remembered.
yeah. I do like. There's a lot of ones that are like have made small roles. Like, oh, I can't believe you didn't mention them. Well, I get it. They are famous. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the MCU, but like he's okay.
Was he? No, is
We
he?
get it.
No, he's not. Are you thinking of
I'm thinking
his
of
buddy
no. You don't know,
Sylvester Stallone? You're supposed
That's
okay.
it.
I was like, Schwarzenegger's not in it
I was
yet.
like, don't tell me he's not. You're right, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah,
I just
Sylvester
watched
Stallone.
this scene yesterday, but like that doesn't count. I mean, he's famous for his own thing. He's in the MCU because he's famous. He's not like
Yeah.
famous concurrent with it, which I think is
Fair
probably the
enough.
same for Michael Keaton. But yeah, let's take our break here, a little end moments. Is there anything you got going on? I don't know what you call it.
I called it extra credit, but we wanted to think of a better name. But
When
whatever.
we didn't
I
think
know
of a better
that's,
name.
That's the problem. We'll get to it eventually. But yeah, I've
We're a
been
terrible
playing
podcast.
The Witcher 3 remaster because I never beat the original, so that's been a lot of fun for me. I
You know
got
what? Is a I'll riff on The Witcher 3 a little bit. I played that whole game, and there's a way to like have a romance with one of the two women, right? That's sort of
Triss or Yennefer.
Triss or Yennefer, and you play the whole game. You kind of have to choose. It's not as intuitive as a lot of other games that let you choose romances. So I boxed myself in to the Yennefer relationship, but I actually wanted to do the Triss one. So then I ended the game and I was like, oh, how far back do I have to go to be able to change it? Pretty much the whole
The
game.
beginning, since the beginning of the game, yeah.
There was like a decision I made like 2 hours in that like locked myself in. I have not played it again since. And
We're just gonna see what happens. I don't have a major preference either way on which one I end up with, or if at all. I mean, it's a pretty fun game though. For Christmas, I got American Gods, which is my favorite novel of all time, but they converted it into a graphic novel, so that's been pretty cool. So it's just this big, thick book. It's too far away for me to show, but it's really cool. It's got like gold pages and like little. It's hardcover and it's got a book sleeve, and yeah, it's a really, really good book. So if you guys want a book recommendation, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, it's fantastic.
Nice. I spent a good chunk time in Arizona for the Michigan TCU game.
Yes,
for the most part, I had a miserable time. I was sick and airplanes and everything, and the game itself was pretty cool. Like if you like sports, going to bowl games is like a fun little different experience. Obviously, Michigan lost, which is a bummer, but for the most part, wouldn't recommend the trip itself if you had to do exactly what I did on the
I don't know if he's listening right now, but shout out to Jordan DeLong. His wedding's coming up. I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that I got fitted for my suit for that wedding. I don't know if you call it extra credit, but I wanted to throw Jordan's name in and say congrats to him and Dina, of course. It's going to be a fun wedding.
That will be a fun wedding. I've been back to playing. Like I already said, I'm still working through Horizon before I get Midnight Suns. Although it's on sale, so I'm going to have to buy it now.
I know. Play it later. I know. I'm playing too many games for me to try and decide if I want to do it. So you and Noah are going to be my guinea pigs on that game and whether or not I end up wanting to play it.
I still might not play it for another month, but I'm going to buy it probably as soon as I get off.
Well, Noah is an idiot. I'm just kidding, Noah. We love you. But he said, yeah, I pre-ordered the game and then I forgot about it. So the game's been out for like almost a month. Yeah, he owns it, but he never played it.
I want to get to it before like Harry Potter and stuff comes out.
I've also Harry Potter was that March, February?
Yeah, something like that. End of February. I've been playing a lot of Rainbow Six, getting my shooter skills back, getting real nerdy with the gamer stuff as of recently.
That's what's up.
Just as I wait for Marvel to ramp back up, really, which is coming soon.
Oh. Yep. Last thing, I'm not going to say the date I'm doing it because I don't want anyone to actually come see it, but I'm doing another stand-up set in the next couple weeks here, and I haven't done that in like 6 months or something like that. So getting back in that groove, see how it goes.
That's fun. Should be fun. Well, all right. This was a lot of fun. We're glad to get talking some Marvel. I know I missed last week with my trip, so I'm glad to be back in studio and talking to you. It's a good time. And
yep, no doubt.
Support our actors. Get them to movie stars over Marvel stars. Again, although to be fair, to end this conversation, I think the ultimate part is that who cares?
That I think
you're just a Marvel star.
You're still a movie star. We didn't bring one up, and it's kind of too late in the podcast, but it's one other major. Simu Liu. He's a Marvel star, but movie star because he was a Marvel star. Yeah, he's a complicated one without a doubt.
He's the perfect example of. You're just a Marvel star. Yeah, who cares? I'm wicked famous. See how much
money he made by being a Marvel star?
Yeah, exactly. I'm wicked famous and a great movie, and like, who cares?
Exactly. Yep. No doubt.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun, guys. Don't have too much fun without us. All right.